guys, thank you for waiting. Thank you for showing up. I underestimated the amount of traffic on the bridge, so sorry for that. So why don't we start with a question first for all you guys. When did you guys, by a show of hands, learn about blockchain? 2 years ago? Anybody? Within 2 years? Within 5 years? Since its inception? 2008, 9, 10? All right, so basically, the whole idea behind blockchain is trust. So we are trying to upend something called centralization. So centralization comes with a couple of challenges that we never liked, right? Let's see these slides. So everybody knows what that is. Now, do you know it represents something to all of us? It represents history, it represents the past, but it also represents the structure of our society as it's been for thousands of years. So, what we're doing with centralization versus decentralization is we're trying to upend this because there's power at the top, limited for the few, and the masses, the rest of us, are towards the bottom. And generally, we don't like this structure. The reason why we don't like this structure is I brought a little prop that I keep with me, which I actually got from the Shenandoah Valley, but you guys have seen it. It's a stone. You have like ones for faith, for this and that. So I got one that says believe. This structure asks you to believe. Believe in other people's capacity to know better for you than you. That's what you bought into. And you've been indoctrinated. So this decentralization, as much as we like, yeah, decentralized, fight the power, fight the man, right? You have to recognize that the challenge is not just you fighting someone else. You're fighting yourself. And you know that subconsciously. I'm going to connect it to Bitcoin, so be patient with me. It all connects because you're connecting human history, and where we're at is a function of where we've been. So over time, you were asked to believe, and if you notice, within the word believe is the word lie. So you bought into the lie as part of buying into the belief. And what you didn't like is the power structure at the top dictating. Now, is this such a bad thing? Let me ask you guys, is this such a bad thing? What is so bad about centralization? Anybody? What don't you like about centralization?
Control.
Control.
Power abuse.
Power abuse.
Single point of attack.
What was that?
Single point of attack, or single depository of information.
Right, right. Those are all components of what you hate. Sorry, so I'm gonna try, because I ran. So, what you don't like is all of this control faculties and problems that came along with it, right? Because absolute power corrupts absolute. And what you're trying to get rid of is not just somebody else on the other side, you're trying to get rid of your own mindset. So this is even before ancient Egypt, is Sumeria. So why is this important? Let's run through these slides, see where that starts. This is the first city-state for humanity in Sumer. If you notice a nice ziggurat over there, if you notice there's a bridge over there, you don't like control, you don't like these points of attacks and everything. But previous to this, you were here. Hunter-gatherers. This is the last time you had decentralization in its purity. You all hunted for a little bit, brought home the big moose or whatever, and spent most of the day just chilling, being with your family. That changed. And even today, hunter-gatherers live a life of 2 to 3 hours of work, rest of the day of ease and time spent with family. I wager none of you get that opportunity. So part of the reason why you're in blockchain is because it's a new opportunity to make some riches. Why would you want some riches? You want it because you want control. You want freedom and you want control. Something that in order to get the benefits of society, you lost. There was a guy at the top, that cigarette, who dictated everything for you. But if you look closely, structure has its benefits, doesn't it? There's a bridge. You know, it takes a lot to build that damn bridge, especially if you're looking at 7,000 years ago. Some people say that's 12,000 years ago, but irrelevant. Any time period in the past, that's quite hard to build. And that ship, do you want that ship that's coming in, each one of these, to be without a captain? Decentralization at its finest called mutiny. So, as much as everybody hates the concept of centralization and fight the power, it's going to take a little time for us to adjust ourselves to the concept of decentralization. Because as much as we'd like to blame the politicians, you may hate Trump, you may love Trump, but he's just an instrument. An instrument of a mindset that you and I and all of us are also ingrained in for thousands of years, called centralization. We look to authority to dictate the majority of our life, and the minority of our life is what we call free will, value, freedom, and like to run with it. We value it more, but a majority is structure. None of you I see are sitting on the floor. Maybe you're more comfortable on the floor. But society dictates, this institution dictates that you operate under certain norms. So why I bring up that example is subconsciously you're operating under a system. And that system is centralization. So the evolution of blockchain is what it is. It's an evolution, not a revolution. So you guys coming into blockchain within the last 3 years, I've been in this space since 2011. I've seen how it's progressed, how it's changed. You're in it for a few reasons. Mostly for value, mostly to understand. Some of you may have read Satoshi Nakamoto's paper and recognize the power of a trustless society. And that's what brings you. For the majority of us back in the day in the space, that concept of a blockchain is what brought us into the space. Because there's no money in it. Right now you guys are coming in actually at a good place. There's money in this thing. Back then all we had was a cause as much as any other social justice cause. But we came in with something else. Anonymous emails, anonymous names. Today I can be Jayden Sage, the guy who's presenting on this. Back then, no. Because we were worried that what we're doing is going to be challenged by the powers that be. And the powers that be do not like all of this change. Because it's a system. And the system gave you tasks that you were assigned to. Now, why did it give you tasks and you were okay with it? I mean, your parents, grandparents, great-great-great-great-grandparents weren't idiots. If they were, we wouldn't be here. So if we're here, that means they were quite smart. So why did they go along with this system? That is a function of education. In today's world, we are far more educated and far more empowered. Everybody remember the flint hand axe from the hunter-gatherer days? This is your flint hand axe of today. Shaped similar, it's the same obsidian type of design, but it serves a similar purpose. So this is your means of communication and your means of value exchange of your ideas. Your greatest value comes not from money, not from what material possessions you have. It's your intellect and your education combined together to give value that's unique to the planet. That's what you bring to the table. Now, what we're trying to do is we're trying to exchange that with each other. Yes, some of us put cat videos on YouTube and put, on social media all sorts of junk. but a majority of us would like to think we're leaving something of value for future generation and for each other. So that's the challenge that can now be surmounted, where the majority of us are not like these people. Where you need someone more educated, the elite class who've been groomed, educated in the ways to be able to dictate that I know what's best for you, and you took it at face value. Now you don't want to take it at face value because realistically you're all empowered. So blockchain, Bitcoin is just one function of the blockchain. Blockchain is an evolution that is catching up with your intellectual prowess that has been fine-tuned through education and brings you to this point. So you need an impetus for the change, right? So you need something, and here it is, 2008. So was that the day Satoshi Nakamoto said, by the way, most people believe it's a group, not a single person, but is that the day somebody woke up and said, screw this system, I'm going to come up with something different? Does anything really happen like that? One hit wonder shows up overnight? Really? That person worked their butt off their whole life. They only got the limelight for 15 minutes, but they worked their whole life. So 2008, if you go back through history, you'll find that 2008 is not the birth of blockchain. The mathematical codes, blockchain, all of its evolution occurred much, much earlier, all the way to 1993. So it's been in the works. Its greatest impetus when a majority of people started suffering from a system where we were asked to believe, but were given a lie, causing a financial crisis. So that's what caused this. More, bad news on bad news. And this time around, it wasn't Wall Street, it was Main Street, right? So we all suffered. Our parents suffered, everybody was like looking for a house. Now this is, what do you think this represents? Anybody, take a guess. I mean, it is a dollar bill, but what else does it represent in society?